After 2 years on the carnivore diet, I finally quit. That's right, I've finally quit coffee. And the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to talk about quitting. I wanted to talk about giving things up, whether that's giving up the carbs and the sugars, or smoking, or coffee, or alcohol, or whatever it is. I think there is a pattern that we can follow for giving these things up. So if there's anything that you want to give up, this is going to be a video for you. Now, you might remember that about 8 months ago, I made a video and I talked about how I had finally managed to get off the coffee and I'd changed my diet a little bit by adding in some fish eggs and stuff like that. Well, neither of those things ended up working out, but the coffee part of it, it lasted for maybe 2 months. I think it was about 2 months. And I did really well. I didn't have any kind of cheats in there at all. It was a full 2 months without coffee, and I slept much better than I had for a very, very, very long time. But I did end up falling off the wagon. And part of, I think, what the problem was is the whole time I was not doing coffee, I had this kind of little nagging feeling at the back of my head, which I've had an experience when I've been trying to give up smoking before, when I've tried to give up alcohol before, and of course, when I've tried to give up carbs before. And this nagging little thing at the back of my head, you don't really pay attention to it much in the moment, but based on what's happened recently, I've had a chance to reflect on this. And this kind of nagging feeling was telling me, you're missing out. You're missing out. You can't do this forever. You're missing out. Eventually, the feeling is going to get too strong. You're going to want to have this back. Maybe, it's the coffee talking. You're going to want to have me back, but at the end of the day, the overriding message that was being sent by this little nagging thought was, you're missing out. But this time it's definitely over with coffee. And I feel like the reason it's over is because I'm noticing a pattern that's the same as I have with the smoking, the alcohol, the carbs before. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about this. And I want to tell you how maybe you can use this pattern in an area of your life as well where you want to give something up, whether it be coffee or smoking or whatever it happens to be. So the main difference this time is that nagging feeling is not there. That feeling of you're missing out. All right. So similar now to how I can walk to a restaurant full of people all enjoying glasses of wine and eating cakes and pastries and all sorts of stuff for dessert and things like that and not feel anything. I could sit there and chat with them and not eat or drink anything and feel completely comfortable, perfectly at ease. Similarly, right now, I'm in that situation with coffee. And so I could walk into a coffee shop, I could go to the local Starbucks, and I could watch everyone around me drinking a really good looking black coffee or something like that, latte, whatever, and not feel anything. I could smell the smells and not feel like I have to drink anything. Or when I talk about a coffee shop like Starbucks, actually, as drinking coffee goes, I'm one of the few people in a Starbucks restaurant or in the past that would have ever been drinking just a black coffee. Everyone's drinking stuff with cream and umbrellas and cherries and sugar and syrup and all sorts of things all over it. So that's not what I would call coffee. But anyway, that's beside the point. So, the main difference, just to underscore this time, is I don't feel like I'm missing out. And this follows a pattern, as I say, that has happened with smoking, alcohol, carbs, sugars, everything. And so this pattern is really simple. What happens is one day you'll have something that kind of makes you feel like, okay, well, from tomorrow or from this day, I'm going to give up, insert your thing, alcohol, sugar, whatever. And you'll do you'll do okay on it. You might drop the sugar, say, for a good week, and then you'll start to feel like you got a bit of cravings again, and then you'll go back to it, right? And that's normal. Most people experience this kind of thing. You know, most people want to give something up. Think about New Year's resolutions, right? With New Year's resolution, you think, okay, well, I'm going to give up smoking, and you maybe last a day and a half, 2 days, and then you're back to smoking again. That's just the way things are. The addictions are really, really strong, and so the pattern starts off as you've had that event, you've given up, you've maybe lasted a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, a month maybe, and then there's some other event that makes you just kind of go, look, I'm not gonna, I don't care anymore. I'm going back to it, and that could be something that's stressful. That could be an event that's suddenly come up that you feel like, oh, I can't give up my thing while this event's on. I'm going to have to do it. And it's okay, well, I may as well just do it. And, I'll reset the date some other time in the future. And this pattern kind of continues, and it continues and continues and continues. And that could be over months, it could be over years. And that's happened to me with everything. The important thing to remember is that every time you do give something up, whether it's smoking, alcohol, or sugar, whatever, you take a step further away from it. And you are getting out of its control. It's still drawing you back, but you are getting out of its control. But something will eventually happen, and where that little voice that's like this, you're missing out. You're missing out. Come on, it's okay. You got that event. You got that event. Just go back. Just drink the coffee again, or just smoke the cigarettes again, or whatever it is. That little voice eventually is going to go away. Eventually, that's going to stop. And when that stops, that's when you get to the point where, for most of us on Carnivore, we will feel like we can sit in front of someone, watch them eat a cake, and not feel anything about it. That's when that happens. That's when we get to that point. And so, whatever the thing is that you're trying to give up, doesn't matter what it is, just keep trying. And eventually, you're going to get there. Okay. The only reason you won't get there is if you say to yourself, well, there's no point in trying anymore. But there's always going to be some kind of event that makes you feel, look, I really need to get this out of my life. Whether that's you wake up with a really bad hangover one day, or whether that's, looking down at the ashtray, at all the used butts in the ashtray, whatever it happens to be, whatever the event is that makes you feel like, okay, I've got to try this again. Just, go with it and do your best, and don't beat yourself up if you fall off the wagon, but just remember to stay open to trying to give it up again. And eventually that little voice that's at the back of your mind saying, you're missing out, just go back. Just go back. It's okay. Just go back. Eventually that's going to go. Eventually that's going to end. And that's when you'll feel like, okay, I'm done. I'm completely out now. So that's where I am with coffee now. And if you want to see why you shouldn't wait, check out this video next.